My name is Brad Langenberg, and I'm an alcoholic. And first I want to thank the A here in this area for always welcoming me. This will always be home. Norfolk and Hoskins always be home, and I really appreciate that a lot. I wanted to introduce the speaker, and Wayne has gone through some physical challenges, and when I first asked him to speak, that was this last summer. And I talked to him later on in the year, and he said, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it here. But I knew that he would do everything he can, because I've been around for a while. I don't know anybody that puts more into A than Wayne does. And when I first got sober, and I read in the book, because I thought my life was over, all the fun was done. And in the book it says, we are not a glum lot, the joy of living. And then I met Wayne. Wayne would light the room up, and I so appreciated it. And he had so much wisdom and so much knowledge about it, and he has so much love for it. And I've always appreciated that. And I want to thank you for crossing my path and being in my life. I'm grateful. I'm introducing Wanyne B from Los Angeles.
Am I being recorded?
You want me to?
Means I have to behave. I got to batten down the hatches here. My name's Wayne Butler. I'm up. Wanyne B, alcoholic.
Hi, Wayne.
I heard this might be on YouTube, so that's not private by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to bear that in mind while I share. I absolutely love AA, every ounce of my soul. I want to thank all the other speakers who came. I want to thank Russ and the committee, especially Brad and Karen for, I know Brad worked it out for me to come. We're friends in Los Angeles, and I don't use that word lightly. We get to see each other, 3-4 times a week at meetings. I know he's a meeting maker. I'm a meeting maker. And I want to thank you fellow AAs for being here. I would much rather have stayed home if you want to know the truth. I'm missing 4 of my regular meetings. They've all texted me and called me names. It's called the AA Love. We call it the Love Shop is now open. But I got a sundry number of newcomers over here. I love it when newcomers are in the room, because you old timers don't need to hear a thing I got to say, I don't believe, but it might not hurt, but you don't need to, I don't think. I like to talk to the newcomers, but not at you. I hope, there's part of me that hopes you don't relate to me, but a part that I sure hope you do. The part that hopes you don't relate to me is that means you're as sick as I was. I really feel for you. Yeah, I've had some health stuff. I want to get that out of the way so it's not on my mind while I share. I had a heart attack 3 years ago. I had a stroke 2 years ago. Now they found cancer on my lung and my spine. And so we're dealing with that. And it is what it is. And I want you to know something. That doesn't affect me adversely. I've accepted it. I want you folks that are listening to this recording that Fred Flintstone just came up here and he looks just like him, doesn't he?
Thank you. I'll keep that one going.
My sobriety date is November 8, 1977, one day at a time. No booze, pills, powders, potions, or lotions that affect me from the neck up. I have been known to date, mind, and mood-altering women. I seem to find them. It's like, there's a speaker, he's gone to the big meeting, Jimmy Williams in Texas.
So we can hear you?
What?
You're having a tough time.
I am talking into the mic.
You gotta get closer to your lips.
I'm not getting near that then. I know where it's been. Did that help?
Good job.
No, we're going to be here 2 hours if we keep this up.
Does the body good.
What was I saying?
You know where that's been.
I got to start over. I'm Wayne. I'm an alcoholic. I get to do this a lot. It's not an ego thing, it's a love thing. I would not do this if I didn't love AA. It doesn't pay financially. I sacrifice a lot of money to come do this for fun and for free. I'm willing to do that. I'm not complaining, I'm reporting. A lot of people think this is the glamour part of AA. This is the most dangerous job in all of AA, in my opinion. Anything that feeds my ego is dangerous. And traveling like I do, I've been to over 1,000 conventions. I've been around the world 8 times. I've spoken in 28 countries. And I'm still just another drunk sitting in the room. And as long as I can keep it that way, I probably got a good chance of staying sober. And I feel valued and I feel important to the God of my understanding. He needs me. He wants me to do what I'm doing. I have a new employer set on page 63. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the third step. I found out who and what I am on page 62. I just want to get into that real quick so I don't forget to do it while I'm talking. I'm of that age now. I had to be helped remember where I was just now. See, I just forgot. Page 62, where it says he is the director, he is the principal, we're his agents. When I learned that, I wasn't fit to be his agent yet, which is why I had to do steps 4 through 9, so I'd be fit to be his agent in AA. Then I found out on page 63 I have a new employer, and if I perform his work well, he will provide for me. If I perform his work well. I used to think God was going to take care of me no matter what I did. I was really confused by it. If you're bothered by the spiritual talk, I understand, and I'm not going to veer too far off the course of what I used to be like, what happened, what I'm like now. I just want to get that out of the way. If you got a problem with God, I want you to know something. God don't have a problem with you. He's just waiting. And that God is alive and well in this room right now, in my opinion. I felt it when I came in here. I felt it at 3:03 yesterday when I went to that noon meeting. Dave, is Dave here? I wish he was here. He shared, and he shared in such a way I thought we got to get him to LA. He's one of those curmudgeons, and we love them guys. You know, being here in Norfolk, Nebraska, never heard of the place before until I met Brad. I'm from Illinois, farm country. Linden, Illinois, population 300. That's counting corn. I don't want to get too far into my childhood. I want to get drunk right away. How about that? Anybody else like to get drunk? Come on. If you don't, why are you here? I want to tell you about my first drink. I'll get into what led up to that, the ism factor, but I want to talk about my first drink. I was a junior in high school. I was taken to the senior prom. I was just about to turn 16. And scared of girls. I'm in the retarded class. Don't be offended. That's what it was. In the 1960s, it was called retarded class. Yeah, I'm that old. Well, I may as well tell you. I'm 76 years old. I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't look so damn good. Not bad, eh? See, I was nicknamed Little Wayne in school. Somebody has hijacked my name, by the way. And I was nicknamed Little Wayne, and I was a problem child. Any other problem children? I know you're over here. I already saw you. The school couldn't figure out. See, back in the late 50s and early 60s, they didn't know nothing about alcoholism in the family. They didn't know about children of an alcoholic. They didn't know nothing about it back then. I happened to be a child of an alcoholic. But before any trauma befell me, I always had these feelings of being different. Anybody else? I've always felt like something's wrong with me. And I didn't understand that. I've been a client of psychiatry from the age of 9 to the age of 27. What if I told you I've been psychiatrically diagnosed 21 times? I was in the Watertown Insane Asylum for the criminally insane 14 times. I was on a lifetime indefinite commitment because of something that happened to me when I was 16. So I've been in and out of mental institutions. I'm sure some of you will relate. Sorry about that. I like it there, though. That's where I met my girlfriend. Psycho, sober, civil. I swear before God, she had so many personalities. It was like dating somebody new every week. She was a diagnosed sociopath. She murdered her entire family with a knife. She heard that there was a psychopath on the ward strapped down in a straitjacket on a steel bed. He was a psychopath. That was me. And she came in to meet me. That was back in the days when one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Didn't lock the doors. Staff didn't care what you did as long as you didn't hurt the staff. And I didn't even know about section restraints till I met her. Don't judge me. I was in restraints. Boy, that's a heck of a deal. You don't know where you are. You don't know what you did. But you have someone having sex with you. I just thought, I like it here. I don't know where I am. We fell in love. Does that give you a clue? We did. And we carried on, and they didn't get in the way. I truly believe I was in love with her. It was that's why I shouldn't date. And some people would call that not alcoholism because they didn't. They called it psychosis for me. I was diagnosed a psychopath, a probable homicidal psychopath with no conscience, no morals, no feelings of guilt, shame, or remorse. That's what I was diagnosed. And they had the diagnosis 100% accurate at that time. And I hadn't had a drink yet when I got my first diagnosis. You see, I'm not an alcoholic. That's my theme. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm ADD. I'm not alcoholic. I remember when I met my sponsor for the first time. I was there to get a handout. I didn't know I was going to AA. I was 23 years old, living on the street. I came back from Vietnam the second time and went right to the street. Right where I felt like I belonged. I'm living in a dumpster behind Larry's Oasis. He rented an extra dumpster so I had a place to stay. I liked it there. I didn't know what was wrong with me then, but I remember, never forget it. It's about 1 a.m. There's a knock on my dumpster lid, and I was home. The man I hate worse than life itself was my dad. And who do you think's out there knocking on my dumpster lid but him? And he looks at me. I didn't know he'd gone to an AA meeting, raised his hand, and he was trying to 12-step me. How would I know that? Knocks on my dumpster lid. I open it up. I see my dad. I try to close the lid back down. He gets his hand in front of it. And he says, "Would you come home with me tonight?" I looked around my little room. I said, "No thanks, Dad. I'm doing fine." And he left. I jumped out that night. I was afraid he's going to come back. Made that walk that many of us have made, that hopeless, despairing, despondent, suicidal walk. Ended up at a place called Harvey's Restaurant in Moline, Illinois, where the truckers stop in, buy coffee, a dime a cup. It happens to be the morning after Halloween. Ain't a soul in there but this little 80-year-old, 800-year-old woman slowly wiping down the coffee bar. I walk in, she smells me, sees me, drops the rag, comes walking down to me with a glass of water and a hot cup of coffee. "What can I do for you, sweetie?" Knocked me off my game. I know how to beg without begging. So I went into my routine. I told her about my childhood. I told her things I didn't want to tell my first sponsor for fear he'd judge me. I rattled it off like it didn't mean nothing. I told her about when I was 9 years old walking home from school. That was back in the day. How many of you remember those days when we didn't lock doors? Where we had to be home before the street light went out or we'd get our ass kicked. How do you find the kids? Find out where the bicycles are. We weren't stealing them. We were just parking them in the yard. Those were the days when nobody stole nothing. It just wasn't done. It wasn't a thing. I was walking home from school. I was 4 houses away from my house. And this fella that I knew invited me in for some candy. I got inside that door and he took me down into his basement, locked me in the coal bin, and tortured me for 3 days. We didn't have the word pedophile back then. He tortured me. He raped me. He put metal objects in my body that I still suffer from to this very day. And on Monday morning, he threw my naked body out in the street, black and blue from head to toe, bleeding. Told me if I told anybody, he'd kill me after he killed my family. So I never told a soul up until my 4th step. That's the first time I put oxygen to what happened to me. I could never have told that story here had I not done my 4th and 5th step. And I don't tell that for drama. I tell because I know some of you have some experiences like that too, probably. And I want you to know we get sober and we quit suffering. I didn't know that was possible. When I was 10 years old, I'm telling her this because I want a sandwich. Tears started rolling down her face. So I told her about when I was 10, my dad threw me in his truck, his tractor trailer truck. He drove truck out of Chicago, worked for a guy named Jimmy Hoffa in Michigan. My dad's route was the deep south. My dad was a racist and a bigot, and I didn't know that was the words, but I knew my dad hated people. So he takes me on a run with him. We go out here in country I've never seen before, Mississippi, Alabama. And he takes me to this cookout in this big acreage. And they got crosses out there burning them. And my dad introduces me to his club. Get off your phone over there. Thank you. I suggest. A bigot? You don't need to. I'm going to tell you in a minute. Oh, you're Googling already, aren't you? Make a note. I'm about to tell you. So he gives me this little uniform they had made for me. See, he was trying to protect me in the only way he knew how. So I looked at that uniform. The uniform was cool. I'm 10. What do I know? So I put it on. They all clapped. Brought me up to the stage and showed me off to everybody. I couldn't wait to wear it to school. I asked my dad if I could wear it to school. He says, no. I would love to stand up here and tell you they didn't get me, but they did. And then I told her about the bullies at school. I got diagnosed retarded, mentally ill. There's something wrong with little Wayne. Wayne was eating crayons, biting people. I jump out of my little school desk and for no reason run headfirst into the wall just because it was there. They said, something's wrong with him. Well, I knew that. So now I'm seeing school help. To get a beat on little Wayne, they gave me the IQ test in 8th grade. How many of you have taken the IQ test? Really? Call me out if I'm wrong. You score 100, you're pretty smart. You score a 120, you're a borderline genius. You score a 150 or above, there's an organization called Mensa that will literally recruit you and get you jobs thinking for people. Hell, we do that here for free, don't we? How many times have you heard people in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings suggest that we alcoholics are above average intelligence? You've heard that, haven't you? Mensa has never been to a meeting that I know of. Al-Anon appreciates hearing that. I scored a 57, and I didn't cheat. So I got diagnosed mentally retarded. And I got put in what they called a retarded group home. And I stayed there all through high school. Never read a book except See Dick Run, See Dick Chase Jane. We didn't read books. They just tried to keep us out of trouble. I didn't understand nothing. What do I know? I'm not blaming. I'm not being a victim here. I will not share nothing from this podium that I have not fully recovered from. What I haven't recovered from, I take to my sponsor before I take it to a meeting. I take it to my sponsor so we can solve the problem instead of bringing the problem here and dumping it on you, thinking I feel better when I leave, but it keeps coming back. It never stays away because I haven't solved it by talking about it. I wasn't aware yet that the solution is in the steps. And no steps, no recovery. I didn't understand. I had to be taught that. Anybody else? That's why sponsorship is so important. I love to get a sponsorship dig in every chance I get. God gave us sponsors. This is a God-given program, I believe. You don't have to believe that. But it came about somehow. In 5,000 years of recorded history, nothing has worked over any extended period of time except Alcoholics Anonymous. There's always been little splatterings of things that has worked for a minute, but nothing that's stayed for 90 years like we have. Somehow, two drunks One, a bankrupt stock speculator, and another, a proctologist. You know what part of the anatomy he works on, don't you? I hear we need them because he knew someone like me was coming along. Where are you going? Hey!
Water.
Oh. I need water. Okay. We'll be listening. Well, that's because you're drinking all that water. I love AA so much. I should be shot sometimes. Don't take that to heart. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Dr. Bob, the proctologist. Two more unsuspecting people that could lead to something like this. When so many things have failed, well-meaning things that didn't have a singleness of purpose, didn't have a sponsorship ethic, didn't have a home group ethic, didn't have service workers like put this thing together and made it possible. Or Mike drove all the way here from Omaha to give me a ride back tonight. Brad and Karen been giving up their weekend, hosting me all weekend. Those are the type of service things that are not really natural. Churches do a lot of that. I don't want to sell them short, but they don't talk to me the same way you do. You guys talk to me different. That spirituality of the soul, by telling us your problems that you solved, which is what I'm doing right now. Those things I just told you about, they've been solved. I'm going to tell you how they got solved. Usually when I get to that part about that organization my dad put me in, people start getting suspicious. I've seen people judge me. And by the way, if you have, I forgive you. Call your sponsor. Tell him you judged the speaker before he got done. So Tom took me to the senior dance. I was his date. He was my bodyguard because people like to bully the retarded kids. You know who they are. And we wouldn't fight back. I wouldn't fight back. I was a Christian kid. I wouldn't turn the other cheek. And one day I ran out of cheeks. I'm a junior. He's a senior. Stanley, Steamer we called him. Bucktooth Stanley. Beat me up 3 times a week whether I needed it or not. Because he knew I wouldn't fight back. That's what bullies do. They're cowards. I didn't know that. So he beat me up 3 times a week. I was relieved he's a senior. That means he's out of here pretty quick. And then I found out he might not graduate. Oh my God. So it's Friday. He's chasing me across the schoolyard again. I know I can't outrun him, but I try. I know he's going to catch me. I know the school kids are going to come and root him on. So I decided to take a detour through the ball field, hoping I'd get away that way. And I tripped over a baseball bat. That bat flipped up in the air and landed right in my hand. And I stood up and swung with everything I got, and I killed him. Hit him square in the head. Died the next day. Now I know how to handle bullies. Now I know how to handle problems. I'm not blaming. I'm just telling you how that affected me. I found that out in my 4th step, how I react to things. See, the 4th step is a big issue on where are you going? What is it with you guys? I'm going to call your sober living manager. You know, pretty soon you're going to start doing it just for attention. What was I saying?
Now you know how to handle bullies.
Oh, thank you. So now I'm a problem solver. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not coming up here and pretending to be a tough guy. You want to see a tough guy? See some of Brad's old pictures. He'd make you nervous. I'm not a tough guy. I just know that I went over the edge. I went insane. In a split second, I changed his life and I changed mine. But I didn't know what I was doing. So I got sent to the psychiatric hospital again. I was not held accountable because the evidence was there. So many people came to tell him that I was just defending myself. But something happened inside me. You know what happens when you have a broken spirit? Life compounds the fracture. And we don't know what it is. And then you pour alcohol on it, because when Tom took me to that senior dance, he went and got me a bottle of Bud. I didn't know what he was doing. He went off and he said he's coming right back. He came back and he had his hand tucked inside his jacket, and he pulls out this long brown bottle with a red, white, and blue label, said Budweiser. King of beers. I'd have drank battery acid for Tom because he's been protecting me. I didn't know I was a guzzler. You know, in NA, they say pickup. In AA, we say bottoms up. And I went bottoms up on that. Never had a drink in my life. Picked up that Budweiser, guzzled it down, let out a big old belch. I said, Tom, that tastes terrible. I want a Pepsi-Cola. He said these immortal words. Have another, you'll get used to it. Somewhere between 4 and 5 Budweisers, I got so good looking I couldn't stand it. I wasn't retarded anymore. I looked out on a dance floor. I'd never been on a dance floor. I'd ball me a blue-eyed blonde dancing with some loser. I had no idea I was going to need freedom from blondage. I went up to her, snatched words out of the air. Can I cut in? She recognized me from the retarded class, and she gave me a sympathy dance. Come on, girls. You know what I'm talking about. I didn't know that. This is all in retrospect. I didn't know at the time she was giving me a sympathy dance. But strangely, when her date went to the bathroom while we were dancing, and when he came back, she stayed with Lil Wayne. She started liking me. We danced the rest of the night. I don't even know what I'm doing. She's standing on my feet, and I want her off. And she said, no, we're going to dance like that. Because I was stepping on her toes. Later that night, we found out sex meant 2 people. And I didn't know that. I've been having sex since I was 13. I thought I was good at it. She complicated the entire process. And then she went and got pregnant. I'm 16, she's 15. In Illinois, that's called statutory rape. So my dad says, we got to get you out of town. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. I'm just trying to cover this. Now I know what the drink does for me. I didn't know it intellectually. There's this sense about me that I knew if I took a few drinks, I would feel better. And life would be different. Now I have the words for it. I have an unusual reaction to alcohol, an allergy, if you will. It alters my perception of reality. And what makes that unusual is it's not supposed to do that. Alcohol is supposed to do one thing. I hope you don't mind me dropping some science on you. Ethanol alcohol is scientifically noted to do one thing and one thing only. Sedate the central nervous system. That's it. It is not supposed to stimulate you. How many of you did it stimulate? Give you a boost of energy. Make you think funny. Make you think you're something you're not. You fit in for a little while. You blend in. I'm a part of. Nothing's wrong with me no more. Something's wrong with you. And here's the funny thing. I'm in that hate organization. I'm at Larry's Oasis drinking. When I drink, I seem to be a different person. I'm shooting pool with a black man. My dad sees me. He comes in, takes a pool cue and hits me across the back with it and takes me out back. And he says, you're lucky it was me that saw you. If one of the other fellows see you, they'll kill you. And so he beat me trying to teach me a lesson. See, when I'm drinking, I don't see color. I don't see race. I don't see creed. I don't see religion. When I'm drinking, we're just people. Sober me right back up, and guess what? All that came back. That fast. There seemed no way to recover from that. And usually what I got in society was pure judgment. I was worthy of that judgment. Some of you might be judging me right now. I understand. Anything that scares us or is different, we tend to judge. But you'll get over it in a minute when I tell you how it got fixed. Because you see, they'll tell you out there this don't get fixed. They started medicating me. They started exhibiting symptoms they couldn't figure out. What they don't understand is I'm not an alcoholic. Because when I drink, It does something for me nothing else does. Makes me okay. I can drop my shoulders and I'm not afraid. I don't have this overwhelming sense of bravado. I'm just not afraid no more. But when I stop drinking, all that anxiety, fear, and depression comes roaring back. And I don't know what to do with it. And then my soul remembers, it's called the phenomenon of craving. Not my head, my soul remembers what alcohol does for me. Spiritus contra spiritum. The action of a poison that condemns me to keep drinking it. To get that illusionary sensation of being okay. Now the amount of, I'm not bashing treatment, therapy, or nothing, but they can't help me beyond what they're taught. Why? Because they can't, there's no x-ray. Let me give you an example. 21 weeks ago, I got diagnosed with a rare kind of cancer in my lung. I don't have lung cancer, I have cancer in my lung. And I have cancer on my spine. My doctor at the VA knows me like a book. So he calls me in and sits me down, and he puts that CAT scan up so I can see it, and he shows me the tumor. And as soon as I saw it, my shoulders dropped, and I relaxed. That's almost the same reaction I get when I drink a Budweiser. But I saw what I couldn't deny. I saw what I couldn't rationalize. I saw that tumor. And I accepted it, and I leaned back and I said to the doctor, now what are we going to do? And he started telling me about this cancer, what my options are, what my possibilities are. About a half hour later, he says, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, doc. He says, you are unnervingly calm about all this. I said, what do you mean? He said, do you understand what I'm telling you? I said, yeah. So I repeated back to him what he's been telling me. And I said, I'm okay, doc. Let's get on with it. He says, I don't understand. I said, doc, I got a program. See, we have a program of action here that will get us through anything if we'll apply it. It used to be Budweiser. Worked every time. Why would I give up something that makes me so good looking? Hot! I don't even need a public opinion. We have a solution here that has relieved me of the bondage of self. I had good doctors trying to help me. There's a doctor named Dr. Rip O'Keefe who wrote a book that was published by Hazelden. One of his chapters is my case. He called me the impossible recovery. He said, I'll never be able to walk the streets a free man. I believed it. When I'm not drinking, I'm worse. When I'm not drinking, you cannot be around me. Do you know I've got 5 kids? Here's how bad it got. All 5 of my kids were coerced into moving to Iowa by the police. So Wayne Butler would have no reason to come back to town. That's not bragging. That's the destitute feeling that I had in my body. That I was never going to recover. I'm telling this to that waitress hoping I'll get a sandwich. When I told her about killing my bully, I also told her some of the other stuff I'm not telling you. I just wanted a sandwich. But ask me to tell my sponsor? Or a pastor? No, I can't do that. What's my fear? I got this strange fear of being found out. Because I'm so incredibly dishonest with myself. I just don't know what's wrong with me. So when I jumped out of that dumpster that night and I went to that restaurant and I'm telling this waitress my tale of woe, she gives me a burger. I'm winning. Well, her husband, unbeknownst to me, is in AA. He owns a restaurant. She's working because her other waitresses called in sick for Halloween. So she came to work. So apparently she let him know she had a live one for him. So he comes in the morning. He says, my name's Harvey. I've heard about you. He shakes my hand. He gives me the bum's handshake. How many of you know what that is? Got a coin in it. I want money. I don't know what this is. I know the size of money. I know what it weighs. I'm such a bum. So I know it's not expendable coin. So he finally, I think he's trying to shake sobriety into me. He finally let my hand go, and it was a brass coin. Big brass coin. Bigger than a silver dollar. It had 2 A's printed on one side, which didn't mean anything to me. And then he says, glibly, turn it over. You know how them old G's are. They're here too. So I turned it over, and it said a prayer, God grant me. It didn't say nothing about money, food, shelter, Pell-Mell tailor-made cigarettes. But he says, you take that coin down to 410 16th Street tomorrow morning. Be there about noontime. There's going to be some friends of mine there. You show them that coin, tell them Harvey sent you, and they'll look after you till I get there. We'll have a cup of coffee. He didn't say nothing about AA. Their spiritual trickery is over the top. And he says, when you get there, the meeting's in the cellar. Of course it's in the cellar. Churches weren't letting us upstairs yet. He said there'll be a light bulb hanging on a cord. If that light's on, go in. They'll be expecting you. Yeah, tell a goofy newcomer that. Folks, if he'd have told me I was going to AA, I would have never went because I'm not an alcoholic. I only drink beer. But because he led me to believe I get something to eat, some Pell-Mell tailor-made cigarettes, and maybe some pocket dough, I made sure I got there that morning before noon. I got there excited about what I'm going to get. I misjudged that one. I found the light behind a window in the cellar entryway, and he said it was on, but it was flickering on and off. I did not know I was an intense neurotic. The light won't, he told me what to do if it was on. He didn't tell me what to do if it was flickering. So I'm out there doing alcoholic aerobics, trying to will that light to stop. And I lost my mind. I had to get out of there. I figured there were demons in there. It never occurred to me the plug might be out. I went to Larry's Oasis and mooched me some Budweisers. Got oiled up. Now it's about 8 o'clock that night. And I remember they owe me now. I've been through a lot of anxiety over this. So I went back. This was a Thursday night. If it would have been any other night, they wouldn't have been there. Their night meeting is on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Is it odd or is it God? Who's to say? I got there about 8 o'clock. I got enough booze in me now. I don't care if the light's on or gone. I'm going in. Because they owe me. And I'm going with my head up, baby. So I got just enough Budweiser on board to hold my head up and go meet these people. And I went charging through that basement doorway, failing to notice the door header's 5'10"ish. I'm 6'3"ish. I hit that door header right across the eyebrow. It knocked me backwards. I fell flat on my back. Wind was knocked out of me. How many of you had the wind knocked out of you? You think you're dying, don't you? So I am not breathing now, and I slid into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And inside the door is a round table, not as big as that one, with 6 or 7 old men sitting around, must have been talking about death and dying. I slid between 2 of them. And this old goat named William Barney Barnett got out of his chair and stood over me and went just like this. Then he crowded me. Slide right in here, you big dummy. He says, we got a wrench to fit every nut that comes in the door, and by the looks of you, it's going to have to be an adjustable wrench. And then he helps pick me up off the deck. I finally caught my breath. He picks me up, holds me up, and I'm wobbling. And he says, "Hi, my name's Barney. I didn't ask." And I muttered, "I'm Wayne." And he says, "And I'm an alcoholic." And I thought, "Ooh, you poor SOB. I heard about people like you." Now, I've been in therapy. How many of us have been in therapy? I'm not banging on therapy. Don't get me wrong. They mean well. How many of us, when I'm sitting across the desk from that man or woman who's trying to help me, when they lean into me and self-disclose, I know what they're up to. They're trying to get me to return the favor. Get me to tell you something about myself. So I said, "Well, I'm ADD." He says, "I'll bet you are." And I said, "You know what else I am? Because I think I'm winning." He gave me one diagnosis, I'm giving him two. He said, "What?" I said, "I'm OCD." He says, "I'll bet you are." And then he says, "You know what else I think you might be?" Now, I thought the conversation was over because I gave two diagnoses to his one. I win. He came back with me, "You know what else I think you might be?" And I was curious. I said, "What's that?" He said, "I think you might be ODD." Now, in November of 1972, there was no diagnosis, or 73, I beg your pardon, there was no diagnosis of ODD in the DSM-3. So I said, "What's that?" He said, "You are very odd." And then he says, "I'm going to be your sponsor." I thought, now we're getting somewhere. Because I know what a sponsor does. They pay for everything. That was my first misjudgment in AA. But I'm not an alcoholic. I only drink beer and fine wine. We got enough gray hairs in here. You remember Ripple? Maybe you remember Ripple. The wine with no spine. Never saw a grape. Should be a Class D hallucinogen. Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. You know why I like Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill? Because when I puke, it looks like I'm bleeding internally. And I tell the girls in the bar I'm dying from stomach cancer. and they buy me a sympathy drink. Worked every time. I also like the Thunderbird Night Train, Mad Dog Deucey Deucey Orange. All high shelf, low life booze. But I'm not an alcoholic. I have a condition called terminal diarrhea. If you drink Budweiser, Ripple, Boone's Farm, Mad Dog Deucey Deucey Orange, Thunderbird and Night Train, you might have a case of alcoholic terminal diarrhea. I swear before God, I had diarrhea for 6 years. When you've had diarrhea for 6 years, you better have good decision-making skills. You better have split-second timing. And you cannot trust a fart. That was a vision for you. I'm a projectile puker. Anybody else? I think we digested enough food, I can tell this. I'm a projectile puker. I had 4 teeth strategically located. So I had 2 partial dentures, one on top, one on bottom. Oh, yeah. That was a pretty loud, obvious relate there. Well, I'm bound. How many of you know what the ivory altar is? I know you gray hairs will know, and your no hairs. But the ivory altar is the toilet. And we bow before it on a frequent basis, don't we? And I've got a bad case going on because I've been drinking that bad wine all night. It's ugly. And I've got diarrhea too, so I'm scared to death to throw up. It's going to come out both ends. I know it's graphic, but that's the way it is. So I'm bound there, and all of a sudden, I just can't stop nothing. Everything cuts loose at the same time. And then my upper partial blew out into the stool. And I knew it was a race between me and the hole in the bottom of the stool. If that goes down there, welfare ain't giving me no more teeth. So I went in after him. And by God, I caught him right before they went down the shooter. I thought to myself, Well, let's rinse them off and put them right back in. So. I could never get a date after that, Brad. I sure miss drinking. But I'm not an alcoholic. I was absolutely convinced. You see, I had so many psychiatric diagnoses, those made sense to me because they were given to me by credible people. I could not believe I was an alcoholic. I just couldn't believe it. I didn't understand it. So I kept going to meetings for 5 years. I'm in and out of the Watertown Insane Asylum for terrible things I'm doing on the street. I'm stalking people. I'm fascinated with serial killers. I have to tell you this. I became fascinated with serial killers. I started studying them. That became my goal. Hurt people hurt people. I developed this hatred for mankind inside me. And so I started stalking people and doing terrible things at night. Not drinking. See, they don't call it alcoholism when you do that stuff without drink. They call that psychotic behavior. They saw it where are you going? Okay. I don't want you to miss this. Psychopathy. How many of us have been diagnosed so many things that we don't know what we are? And I got to tell you, I'm so appreciative of AA. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do in AA. I'm not a miracle. People call me a miracle and I tell them to quit doing that. I'm not a miracle. AA is the miracle. AA is the miracle. Because I believe no other reason Bill and Bob got brought together with that magic that only one alcoholic can do for another alcoholic. Almost invariably, it takes another suffering alcoholic who knows the way out of the ditch, so to speak, that can help people like me and I presume you. Which is one of the reasons why I still do this on a regular basis. I've got a life in LA. I've got regular meetings. I've got commitments. I love my AA life. In humility, we learn to sacrifice selfish things. And so I sacrifice a lot of those things to be of service to God and AA, which I hope you will follow suit and find it within yourself, because that's the greatest defense I have against the next drink. Because as Clancy would always close his talk, I'm not closing yet, but as Clancy would close his talk, he was always say, and I may not be sober tomorrow. Most humble thing I've ever heard him say. And I might not be sober tomorrow. He kept it in perspective. But he also didn't dismiss the importance of long-term sobriety. And I would like to think I'm an example of that. I'm not a man who says time don't matter. Because had I not stayed sober 48 years and some change, I wouldn't have had the ability to walk through with grace and dignity what I'm walking through within my health. See, time matters. It matters more what you do with that time, though. Sponsoring alcoholics. Be not illusioned. I don't want to sponsor people. I'm not all tickled to death about it. They usually know it, too. I do it because Dr. Bob said it's a duty. It's a way of paying back. So I pretend that I like doing it for the sake of the newcomer. I act better than I feel, which makes me feel better in the long run. My life has been, I discovered in my travels, there's 3 phases of 12-step development. Desperation, restoration, transformation. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are the desperation steps. Because why else would I take those 3 steps if I weren't desperate? And therein lies the task for many of us who work with people coming out of treatment, professional settings. I repeat, I'm not bagging on them. I'm just stating facts. By the time I get these candidates, and you can talk to Karen, and you can talk to Brad after the meeting, when we get candidates in Los Angeles to come out of treatment, they're not desperate no more. They're not as willing as they need to be because they're not desperate anymore. And the beauty of step 1, when we have been really doused in step 1, reading step 1 in the big book, and then reading step 1 in the 12 and 12, sharing experience, strength, and hope, read step 2 in the 12 and 12, read step 3 in the 12 and 12, read steps 1, 2, and 3 in the big book, and not in one day, every day. we become ensconced in the desperation that the steps bring forward so that I may be willing to take the restoration steps 4 through 9. Because if I didn't have hope, why would I undertake step 4? So there's an inspirational part of step 3, isn't there? It's hard to believe this stuff, except it happens to be true. Steps 4 through 9 of the restoration phase. There's a guy named Chuck C. God bless his soul. One of our speakers this weekend had talked about the hand that shook the hand. Who was that? It was, yeah. My first grant sponsor was Clarence Snyder, the first guy to lead the Oxford group. He was sponsored by Bob, who was sponsored by Bill. I got to spend 5 years of him taking me under his wing. He retired to Florida. My sponsor took me to Florida so I could meet my grant sponsor because he wanted me to know how important it was to be hooked up in AA. And then when Barney died, Clancy was my sponsor. When I moved to Florida, Tom Ivester was my sponsor. All 3 of them died sober. But I've always been hooked up. I've been connected up to the soul of AA. Yes, AA has a soul. It takes that to solve a soul sickness. You see, I put alcohol down on November 8, 1977. That's also my arrestment date. That's the date my disease was arrested. November 8, 1977. That ain't what those people out there are going to tell you. I don't get to have an opinion on what they do, but I have an opinion in here. And more people are dying behind this phantom disease when they're sober because they don't take accountability and responsibility for their actions. They were in their disease when they did this. They were in their disease when they did that. No, they were in self-will. I was in self-will. Those things I did at night, that wasn't the disease. That was me running on self-will. Until I get to that point where I'll be that accountable, my chances of staying sober aren't as strong as otherwise. And then it got to a point where I came in here and got into that restoration steps. Thank God Chuck Chamberlain taught me this about duality. He said there's a duality to the steps 4 through 9. First being we get restored to sanity where alcohol is concerned. I have been restored to sanity where alcohol is concerned. And how do I know? It's because I know I can't drink alcohol in any amount at all, in any form at all, safely. Dr. Silkworth, a double board certified physician neurologist, taught us that. He taught Bill all about what his dilemma was. Gave him the medical estimate. And then what did he say at the very end? This double board certified physician, he followed suit with Dr. Carl Jung. He followed suit with Dr. Harry Tebow. He followed suit with Reverend Sam Shoemaker. The only relief we had to suggest is don't drink. That's all they had then. That's all they have now, in my opinion. Why? Because they can't diagnose the real problem to my satisfaction. You see, I wish we had an x-ray of alcoholism like I had of my tumor, so that a newcomer could look at it, see it, and not deny it, not rationalize it, not excuse it, not talk myself out of it. I have not been able to escape the tumor I saw. And I believe this is part of the process of the AA X-ray. I share my experience, as our other speakers have. I share some of the things I've come to understand. I'll share a little bit about my relationship with God and the steps. Hopefully, that might rise something up in you to where you go, me too. We are the original Me Too movement, by the way. Put credit where it's due. If you think I drank like that, I felt like that, that's called Me Too. That's when I finally got brought into AA. Was I'm sitting out there listening to a speaker at that first convention my sponsor drugged me to. I was 17 days sober. It was Thanksgiving, 1977. I didn't have anything to wear. I finally admitted I was an alcoholic on November 8th. First thing he did was he took me to his favorite department store to get me a go-to-convention clothes. Salvation Army. Disco was out at Studio 54. So they donated all the zoot suits to the Salvation Army nationwide. We went shopping, rows and rows and rows of lime green double knit polyester leisure suits. This is 1977, they ain't in no more. Then he bought me this shirt. I thought it was silk, brushed polyester. Bright yellow, shiny. Had animals around it. 2 collars down to here. Had 2 buttons, none were missing. He made me wear a tie with it. And we went to the shoe department at Salvation Army. And the only size 14 gun boats they had in supply were these black and brown box-toe Oxford platform disco shoes. We got out there for $1.85. Took me to his trailer so I could take a bath and put on my new clothes. Then he took me to that convention, stood me at the front door, and made me a greeter. I have lost both of my partial dentures, so I'm standing there with 4 teeth. I have an unmanageable tongue. I have a great deal of anxiety. My tongue is unmanageable. My sponsor would keep telling me to keep going like this because my tongue would be going 1,000 miles a minute. And he stood there and made me a greeter. People would shake hands like this. The AA members that carried the message that weekend was a guy by the name of Chuck Chamberlain, God rest his soul. Norm Alpy, the king of seconds and inches. You see, that's how he eased God into the new person. He didn't keep incessantly talking about God because he didn't want to risk one alcoholic being turned away. So he used the term seconds and inches. My life could have went either way. He knew why he had seconds and inches, but for the kindness and for the hope of not deviating just one alcoholic off, he used seconds and inches. A guy by the name of Johnny H., Clancy I., Dottie Shore from Ratford out in the valley. One of the meanest women I've ever met in my life, and I've met a few. Dated most of them. And a guy named Tom Brady Jr., Charlotte, North Carolina. And all 6 of them became mentors of mine. I had the privilege of calling Chuck C. from my home in Moline to his in Laguna Beach. He would talk to me every time. He had this funky laugh. It was hideous. He had a reputation in AA as the water walker. He was so religious. When I had 18 days of sobriety, my body still stank. I know because I could smell it. People took turns sitting next to me. But they wouldn't leave me alone. Barney gave me his banquet ticket. His seat was at Chuck C's table. He gave me his ticket in hopes Chuck C could do something for me. So I'm sitting there next to Chuck C. I don't know who this guy is. I know he's a big deal in AA. But there's something about him. He's got his wife Elsa sitting next to him. And then all of a sudden I look over at the door coming into the venue and I see Dr. Kildare over there. Richard Chamberlain. Well, that's Chuck's son. I didn't know that Chuck had disowned. When Chuck talked the next night, I heard it. But he had disowned his son because he was gay. And he had just flown to London to make amends. So Richard was flying back to spend the weekend with his dad at this convention. So he comes over and sits down. So I'm sitting there starstruck. I want to ask him for his autograph. Chuck says, "We don't do that here." And then he says, "Kid, tee." Pulls his napkin out. Draws a line in the middle of the napkin. And he looks at me and he says, "Kid, what's that?" And I thought I can pass this test. "That's a line." And he goes like this. "No, that's just your perception." Now I think he's toying with me. Then he draws a big circle on the right-hand side. And he says, "Tee." "What's that?" And I'm thinking, well, if that's not a line, I'm not sure. So I lost my confidence and I said, is it a circle? And he goes like this. I said, that's just your perception. And then he draws a stick figure on the other side of that line. And he's starting to write a name. And I'm thinking he's putting mine in there. If he does, I'm knocking this budget out of his chair. I've had enough of this. And he writes Chuck. And that startled me. Because I knew it was going to be my name. And I looked at him and I said, I don't understand. He said, tee. Now we can get somewhere. And he said, that line represents conscious separation. That circle represents God. All God's kids, because he put a bunch of pencil dots inside. And he said, that represents all God's world, God's love, goodness, and everything in it. And that represents me being consciously separated from my loving Father God. That's my only problem in life, kid. It's the only problem in my life. All other problems stem from that one problem. And if I can solve that one problem, my life is good. And then he turns his attention to Elsa. And I can't tell you what motivated me to do it. Is it God or is it God? I snatched that napkin, put it in my first big book, and it sits in there right now. For some reason, that Clancy used to say, take what you need, and file the rest for future reference. He doesn't say, take what you need and leave the rest. File it for future reference. And I'm so glad I was taught that, because I've gone to future reference a lot. That was really the booster shot I needed. Johnny H. talked about being in solitary confinement, crawling around on all fours, howling at the moon, praying to God to get him out, and praying God to keep him in. That baffled me. I didn't understand. So I asked him after he was done speaking, what do you mean? He said, well, kid, California's big on this kid thing. He said, here's my dilemma. I'm too good for the bad people and too good for the bad. I've got nowhere to go. And that got me. That is precisely how I felt. I felt too good to be out with the bad people, and I felt too bad to be with the good people in church. I had nowhere to go. And little did I know I was in the midst of what was going to work. I was in the midst of a bunch of losers like me that found a way to win at life. You know, fast forward, I'm at a convention with Clancy. I'm the afternoon speaker because I'm new at it. They're doing a workshop. A lot of people didn't like Clancy. They misunderstood him. You got something in my eye. Did a Q&A. And I didn't have enough time to get involved in the Q&A. So they asked Clancy a sarcastic question. You could see it coming. So Clance, in your talk, you said, stick with the winners. Well, what's a winner? He thought he baited him. And Clance goes like this. A winner is anyone who's currently trying. Boom. A winner is anyone who's currently trying. Because the ones who aren't are losing at life. They're not losers. They're losing at life. See, all these little tidbits that I gathered along the way, it's so important to have a sponsor. It's so important to be a sponsor. I've got sponsees. They have helped save my life. They've helped change my life. You see, when I got through that, the second phase of the restoration phase is to be restored to sanity where life is concerned. Where life is concerned. To become a citizen. To pay my bills. To pay my child support. I remember when Barney told me to pay my child support, I said, why? He said, you're a special kind of stupid, ain't you? You got to get a job. Now let me tell you how this other stuff works. You can probably know and understand what a hard time I had being around people that weren't white. That didn't go away just because I got sober. My dad died drunk because he couldn't get over it. My dad could not find peace in AA. He couldn't get out of that club he was in. I was 2 months sober when this black guy named Charles asked me to sponsor him. I took that 357 out from behind my belt. I put it right to his head and cocked that hammer back. And I said, get away from me, I'll put you in the ground. Instant reaction to what I believed. I got home that night and my sponsor called me. Heard you told Charles rather emphatically you wouldn't sponsor him. I said, that's right, Barney, I can't. You know why, you heard my fifth step. I said, listen here, dummy. Are you aware that nobody, not one person in AA likes you? I said, I'm aware. So much for your love and service. Are you aware that if you don't have a sponsor, you have little to no chance of being sober over the long term? So you say. Then he says, here's what you're going to do. You're going to call Charles. You're going to apologize to him. You're going to tell him you were wrong to say that word you said to him. You're going to promise him you'll never use that word again to anybody as long as you live. And you're going to tell him that you're sorry. And that if you'll forgive me, I'd be happy to be your sponsor. Or I'll have nothing more to do with you as long as I live. Click. I'm so glad I had a faulty dependency on my sponsor. Some people will tell you don't have a dependency on the sponsor, have a dependency on God. You got to have one on both, in my opinion. Had I not had a dependency on my sponsor, you'd have a different speaker. Because I wanted to keep him. I knew he was powerful in my life. So I called Charles up, but I had a plan. See if you follow my plan. I called Charles up. He answered the phone. I said, hi, Charles. You recognize my voice? Almost hung up, I could tell. What do you want? Well, my sponsor made me call you. You see the plan? He told me I've got to apologize to you. So I apologize. I was wrong to say that word. I'll never say that again as long as I live to anybody. And if you'll forgive me, I'll be happy to sponsor you. Knowing he's going to tell me to go straight to hell, wouldn't you? Instead, he starts crying. He says, I can't believe you called me. I believe you're sincere. He says, funny thing, I do forgive you, and I want you to be my sponsor. I thought, well, that didn't work. 2 months later, this 6-foot lesbian comes up to me, pokes me right in my chest. You're going to sponsor me. I said, yep, I am. Jump on your kickstand and ride your ass out of here. Got a call that night. I'm slow on the uptake. We went through this whole thing. And then I said, if you forgive me, I'll be glad to sponsor you. I meant not one word I said to her. And then she says, I told you were going to sponsor me. Bitch. A month later, Adam the Jew asked me to sponsor him. That happened 6 more times in my first 2 years of sobriety, and I found out Barney was sending them to me. Was my sponsor a genius or what? I don't sponsor straight, I don't sponsor gay, I don't sponsor bi, I don't sponsor lesbians, I don't sponsor blacks, I don't sponsor reds, whites, browns, I sponsor alcoholics.
Amen.
That's how I got through that. My sponsor sent alcoholics my way to sponsor, and he didn't prejudice me with fear. He just told me when it came to the women he was sending me, sponsorship does not take place in a prone position. I said, why'd you tell me that? He says, because you're summertime. I said, it's winter. He said, no, summertime. Summer's sicker than and you're always in season. He was mean. My sponsor called it child abuse. I share all that with you because we get a laugh. It's the God's honest truth. I shouldn't be here. There's a story about me. And that story says I should never recover. That I should have to be medicated for the rest of my natural life. That I'm not safe to be around. If you go back to my hometown, 48 years later, they'll tell you the same thing to this day. He's not safe to be around. People get hurt with him. He's not safe. I earned it. I wish they'd stop. That's why a family in AA is so important to me and so valuable to me. God has given me a second chance. God in AA. So for those of you that are new, this thing works and it works really good. To free a man's mind like men. See, we have that transformation phase. We do steps 4 through 9 to be restored to sanity where life is concerned and where alcohol is concerned. For some, use drugs too. But that transformation phase, steps 10, 11, and 12. See, AA is not a program. It's not a treatment program. AA is a way of life with a program of action in it. We're not treatment. We're not aftercare. We're not therapy. We're just one drunk helping another drunk find their way home. That's all. And I get to have experience doing that. I hope that's inviting to you guys. Even maybe some older people that need to be renewed. I don't know. But I tried. My sponsor said, stay green and growing or you'll turn ripe and rotten. He was an old farmer. You know how they are. Just spotted a couple in here might be farmers. So let me tell you this quick story. I don't want to die. I don't want to. But I'm not afraid to, and I'll tell you why. I know where I'm going.
Amen.
I'm going to the big meeting. That's somewhere between heaven and hell. You see, I want to go see Clancy again. I want to thank Chuck for everything he did for me. I want to thank Joe and Charlie for sitting down with me and going through the big book with me in their workshop. I want to thank Father Joe Martin for taking me to his treatment program and trusting me with his people. I want to thank Clancy and the Midnight Mission. I have a ton of people to thank when I get there. But I'm not all that anxious because I know I'm going to be the new guy again. You know, don't you? So I'm not so excited about that. But I love what I get to do in AA. I love the feeling I get with you. You know, last couple of days I got dehydrated. And I was dizzy. Old Brad almost had to catch me. I got dizzy. I didn't figure out it was dehydration until we got to the 303. And then I drank 3 quick big glasses of water, and that helped get my hydration up. And of course, in my mind, I'm having a stroke. I'm going to die. That's the first thing that comes into my mind. But if I don't react to the first thing, I might get to the second thing. And I asked Brad if there was a VA clinic in town. Guess what? There's a VA clinic in town.
That's right.
And just knowing that made it I didn't need to go. Do you get it?
Yeah.
How many of us have been out of town or on a plane and you're all out of sorts, you're restless, irritable, discontent, and that flight attendant's coming by with the booze. You're in first class. It's free. And you need a meeting. And then the flight attendant comes by, leans over to bring my neighbor his drink, and this circle and triangle fell out of her blouse on a necklace. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you a friend of Bill?" She goes, "Shh." 10 minutes later, she gets on that loudspeaker. "Are there any friends of Bill W. that want to have a meeting in the back?" She did that for me. See, that's how it works here, isn't it? We don't ever have to be alone again. I've been in countries I can't speak their language and I know exactly what they're saying. Strangest thing. So in that transformation phase, I got 5 minutes left. You okay? Maybe 10.
Good.
Do I hear 30? Let's get some auction going on here. Now I forgot what I was saying.
Transformation.
Transformation. Thank you. Transformation. You know, when you read the 12, I hope you read the 12 and 12. There's a lot of myth information about the 12 and 12. It was primarily written by Father Ed Dowling as a result of the steps he took Bill Wilson through from 1947 to 1949 for that terrible spiritual depression Bill had. And when I say he primarily wrote it, because he made notes about Bill's recovery for those 2 years, and he gave that stack of notes to Bill. Bill and Tom Powers took those notes and wrote the 12-step essays. Bill didn't write it when he was depressed. Bill didn't write it to make money. He called it the supplement. You know what supplement means, don't you? To make complete. He felt that completed the big book. And the evidence of that is on page 164, when he said, we realize we know only a little. So I don't want to worship the big book. I want to use the big book. Worshiping that big book can cloud me to the fact that we knew very little. So all my answers aren't in the big book. But when you put the big book together with the 12 and 12 and our history book, AA Comes of Age, I believe all the answers are in those 3 books. And I found those answers for me. If you believe they're all in the big book, I got no bone to pick with nobody. You get to be right. That's what I love about AA. It's the only place I know of where both people can be right and wrong at the same time. It's like duplicity. And Al-Anon has a spin, if you don't mind, Al-Anon has a spin on that. You may be right. Or in the heat of battle, step back, you could be right. I know you're waiting for me to say it. I'm just watching you. Everybody watch. Hurry up, we'll wait. Where else we have this much fun for $2? I appreciate that you put up with me, allow me to share my story. I am not cured, but I've recovered. Thank God I know the science of alcohol. And I know that my disease was arrested on November 8, 1977. And I don't live under the cloud that wants me dead. I don't live under the cloud that's doing something to me. No. I don't wake up in my disease. I wake up in self-will. I can do something about that. Because AA is not designed to treat disease of any kind. That puts us in the medical field. AA is designed to do one thing. After we've been detoxed, some of us need to be put in hospitalization for a while. But once we get to AA is here, in my opinion, to do one thing and one thing only. Treat the results of a broken spirit. And I'll bet you, I don't like to use the word all. I believe Bill was right. We should stay away from absolutes, including vodka. But I'm going to give it this one. I believe the vast majority of us come in here with a broken spirit. And we don't know what it looks like. And I'll close with this. A broken spirit looks like 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. Read off the bedevilments in chapter 4. That's what that looks like, a broken spirit. Bill called it agnostic temperament and agnostic inclination. So I get to come here. Are you making your way up here, Chief?
Long way.
That's the Norfolk news. That my time is about up. But I got the microphone. You stay over there. I'll close with it. What was I going to close with? I forgot. 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. That's what the results of a broken spirit look like. And AA is designed, in my opinion, to do one thing, heal a broken spirit. And when he said in step 10 of the 12 and 12, having worked the first 9, we now practice steps 10, 11, and 12, I'm paraphrasing, as a way of life. I haven't worked a step since 1985. I've practiced the steps. Sounds like a play on words. There's no disease wants me dead. My cancer doesn't, I didn't give cancer a brain. It doesn't want me dead. It might kill me, but it don't want to. It just will. Alcoholism will kill if we don't treat it. And the ism is what AA treats, that internal spiritual maladjustment. I made up a word. Would you like to hear it? Sure. I made up a word. It's called ismatic. Isn't that a great word? Like when an asthma sufferer has an asthma attack, they call them asthmatic, right? Well, when I'm having a rush of self-will, I'm ismatic. And that's what I tell my sponsees. You ain't got a disease, you're ismatic. You run on self-will, you're self-centered to the core. That's not a disease. That's the result of you being separated from God. That's my problem. And I have good news, newcomers. AA can solve all of that. There's even a part in how in the big book it says AA's principles can solve all my problems. Not just some, all. But the catch is I have to do the footwork. God does the humanly impossible. I must do all that which is. And if I can't do it, I've got friends like Brad and Karen and many others in California. They can help me come up with it. So God did it. You know, God, in my opinion, God did everything he needed to do for our world in 7 days. Then he took a day off and we got pissed off. Where's my parking meter? I hope you stay. I hope you give AA a go. And really, stay seated. Stay off your phones. Because someone might say something that's about to change your life. It isn't that I'm opposed to that. I'm not opposed to people walking. But I know you're not really here. Take care of everything you need to do before. I'm not lecturing. This is what I was told. Go to the bathroom before the meeting starts. Obviously, some people have health conditions like me. And I have to take care of that, right? But everybody ain't got that condition. Thanks again for tolerating me. I love you guys. I'm done.
All right.